proud of our school here at Riverside, so we want to welcome our board members, our superintendent, and all of our community members, parents, and teachers, staff members that have voluntarily come to be with us this evening. So we wanted to tell you a little bit about, do some highlights of Riverside, just to welcome you and tell you a little bit about our school. There were so many things that I could have told you tonight, but I understand we've got lots of presentations, so we're going to focus on just one particular thing. Riverside is rated an A school by the Indiana Department of Ed, and we have been for the last 2 years. And we're very proud this year that our rating of an A is based a lot on helping all of our students grow, and that's where our A came from this year. We're very glad about that. We have an excellent staff that care lots about our children. We have so many of our children that have impact programs in either their behavior or in their academics. And we have a very goal-driven student population, and we're going to share part of our student population with you this evening. Our theme for the year is Aim for Excellence. And we have been working on aiming for excellence and showing Riverside pride. And you know a lot about pride, but you don't know about Riverside pride. So we're going to focus in that area this year, or this evening. And pride is for persistence, respectfulness, initiative, and dependability. And we work daily looking at our behavior data and how we're doing with showing our Riverside pride. As I said, our theme this year is aiming for excellence. And we're not satisfied with good enough here at Riverside. It's all about encouraging students to be the very best that they can be and set goals every day and continue to work towards those goals. So we have what we call team buck goals. We have expectations in our hallways and all of our common areas, and each one of our classrooms has set a goal. It's either 25, 50, 75, or 100 team buck goal. And you saw outside the library, each classroom has a chart where they keep track of how many goals that they've made. And as our classes make their team buck goals, then we celebrate as a school community by making announcements. We make a really big deal out of it when someone's made a goal. And then once the classroom has made a goal, they get a sticker to put on their target that's on their classroom door. So, Marcelo, that's the next slide there. And that's one of our targets of excellence on a classroom door, that they've made all those goals. And the kids really look forward to seeing the results of all their hard work. And that can be for their Riverside pride that they show with their behavior, or it could be for an academic goal, such as if they reached a certain number of reading counts points, or maybe the whole class has earned a certain percentage on their goal clarity tests, or some of our benchmark tests. We also have a celebration of monthly character winners, and unfortunately, when I took this picture, we were without pictures over each one of those targets, but each month we highlight a certain theme. Last month it was responsibility, and this month it is empathy, and each classroom teacher will say, will nominate a student who has shown that character theme of the month. And we will take their picture, have them eat on the stage, and have a big celebration in our community meeting on Monday morning to celebrate their character and behavior. We also have special bucks that we give. We give individual bucks as well as team bucks. Individual bucks, or if you get paid to do your job. This is me giving a special $5 buck to a little friend that was able to tell me what the words were that went with the word pride. And he's here this evening. Rusty, would you come on up and join me? We just wanted to do a little demonstration. When we were walking down the hallway, just a couple days ago, I was walking down the hallway and Rusty came in and I said, Rusty, do you know what pride stands for? He said, yes, I do. And I said, what does P stand for?
Persistence.
What does R stand for?
Respectfulness.
What does I stand for?
Initiative.
What does D stand for?
Dependability.
How about E?
Efficiency.
And do you know the character theme of the month?
Empathy.
Awesome. And I want you to know, Rusty is probably one of the youngest kids that I have in kindergarten this year. Did you know that, Rusty? And you were so brilliant. I just love it. And you know that he walked in the other day and I stopped him and asked him about this, and he said it just like he just did to you. He really knows those words. So congratulations, Rusty, and I hope everyone learns them as well as you have. That's awesome. And so we went ahead and practiced just a little bit. And in the office today, we took our picture because I wanted to put a picture up here in our PowerPoint, and I gave him another 5 and for helping me. That was just for helping because it was so special that he was going to get to do it. And he said, "Now I've got 10," and it just came right off the top of his head. So that's awesome. And then we also have teachers who have done a phenomenal job of really reinforcing in their classroom what the words pride, what words go with the word pride. And when we first heard about the Pride program, we thought, wow, we're going to have a hard time teaching those big, long words to our kids. But our teachers got really innovative about how they were going about teaching these words. These pictures up here are from Ms. Souter's classroom, and she works with small groups of students, and she's taught them what pride stands for. I'm going to pause for just a second, get my little friends over here to stand up, and we're going to stand up here and face the audience. Ms. Church is going to move you. And we are going to demonstrate for you some of the ways, the innovative ways that we've learned what pride stands for. Okay, we are going to start with something we learned from Miss Goss's first grade classroom, and she invented movements to each one of the words. So on the count of 3, we're going to do persistence first. Ready? 1, 2, 3. All right. Respectfulness. And that's your beating heart, right? All right. Initiative. Dependability. You can count on me. Efficiency. It's all about using our time wisely, isn't it? All right, awesome. The pictures up here actually go with their Velcro letters that spell out pride. And in Ms. Souter's classroom, when a student has shown persistence in some way, or dependability, or whichever letter, they get to choose which one of those character traits they have shown that day. And they have to say what letter they've earned and how they've earned it. So if they've earned D for dependability, they have to say how they were dependable that particular day. And so once they have gotten all their letters and the entire class or small group celebrates, and they say, who shows pride? And that's it. And like I said, that's just a couple of ways to reinforce pride. Then we also have been working on another aspect, which is to have quarterly rewards for students that do not have any behavior referrals in the entire quarter for either in school or on the bus. No referrals will get you the opportunity to go to a special assembly, and we have a video we want to show you of our very first behavior assembly.
I'm a 3rd grade teacher at Riverside Elementary School. We thought that it was important to bring this as a community for our school. This is our first time that we have done a minute to win it or some kind of end of the quarter activity at a school. Most of the times the teachers are doing activities inside the classroom. They are able to attend this event when they have not earned any behavior referrals or bus to write us. They have been working hard at learning our pride expectations for Riverside Heritage Park. We wanted our students to be recognized for having this behavior so that they can know the importance of showing pride in the community and also in the school. We watch students improve each other to have positive behavior in the classroom, in the cafeteria, in the hallways, in special area classes. I've witnessed students say, come on, let's keep doing a good job so that we can come to the minute-to-minute activity. Our hope is that the students who weren't able to participate this
only our character, but our academics, our behavior, everything, the whole gamut. We have a lot to be proud of, and we're at Clark County Schools, but Riverside hopes to be and continue to be your very shining star. And so we thank you for being here this evening and joining us. And I do want to say thank you to my staff, if you'll raise your hands. Riverside staff, especially
Well, that was, I always love coming out, getting into the schools. We learned so much, and thank you for all the initiatives. All right, we show all board members present except for Mr. Savage. And if you'll join me for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item is approval of the agenda. Do we have any changes?
Approve as presented. Second.
Seeing no further discussion? All in favor? Any public comments on agenda items? Yes, sir. And the next item is our board planning, goals and strategies, and we have a presentation tonight on college and career advisory update.
I guess Rusty can't fill in for me. I mean, I think, come on, man. I can stand on the chair, Tom. I could do that. Thank you, board. Just wanted to give a quick update on the College and Career Advisory. We had a meeting last Friday. It was very well attended. And at the meeting, we did discuss our action plan. And as you're familiar, it is divided into 3 different sections. And a lot, the first section, we talked about work ethic, and it's a lot what you've already heard about. We talked about pride, and one of the things that we talked about there, we went over the presentation that you saw with the president and the video. We shared that with the advisory board, and that was very well received. And one of the things we talked about, and it's kind of interesting, we're getting to see it as we move across the district, the different ways that the different schools are using pride. And I will tell you that I've spent a lot of time attempting to develop attendance policies where it was punitive and we were taking things away from kids at the high school level and at the middle school level. And one of the things, we were meeting with one of the building leadership teams at one of the high schools, and they were talking about a couple of kids that were little rascals at the high school level. And they said they overheard the conversation. One of them said, "I think I'm going to skip school Friday." And the other one said, "Well, what about your work ethic certification?" She goes, "Oh, that's right, I don't want to miss one more day." So they're starting to have that conversation. That's a true story. You were sitting there with us. And we're starting to have that, and we heard a different story at one of the other high schools. So they're really starting to talk about that. And Dr. Mellon and I, we had the conversation. What a neat way to promote attendance versus the way we've been addressing it. So we shared that with the advisory group as well. We also wanted to share with you tonight that we have 462 seniors across the district that have signed up for the work ethic certification. That's about 67% of our seniors. There are 316 at Jeffersonville High School, 105 at Charleston High School, and 41 at New Washington. If you'll remember, our target was 30% would actually end up getting the certification. So we will see how that plays out as the year goes on, but over 67% of our seniors have signed up to receive it. So we're really proud of that. We shared the second part of the advisory action plan is partnership, and we talked about that. We're starting to place students for the second semester in some of those internships. We're very excited about that. We were meeting with one of the local manufacturing manufacturers, and she said, one of the problems is my shift is 8 hours, and I have to set up the machine, and if you just bring a kid in for 3 or 4 hours, I don't know what to do with that machine for the rest of the time. And one of our coordinators said, "I've got the deal for you. What if we overlap the kids? What if we bring the kids in, the first kid does the first 4 hours, we bring the second kid, they overlap, and they finish it." And they said, "That would be great. We'd love to do that for the first shift. Could you help us with the second shift?" So all of a sudden, what we thought would be one partnership turns into 4 opportunities for our kids, and we're starting to see those conversations more and more. I think it was just a few weeks ago I told you that we were about at 150 visits with different companies, and now we're over 200, so we'll continue to work on that. Also, as far as partnerships, on this Friday, we're taking all the counselors and the college and career readiness team, and we're going back out on the road. We're going on our field trip. We'll be at River Ridge, and then we're going to S&J Precisions, which is a manufacturing company in New Albany. Connexus has agreed to sponsor our lunch, and we'll talk about manufacturing with Connexus, and then finish our day at Samtec. So we've got an exciting day planned for them on Friday. Principal Julie Strait at Jeffersonville High School and I had a great, neat opportunity to go over to Ford Motor Company, and we spent about an hour over at Ford Motor Company. We saw the assembly line. I'd never seen that before, and it was something. I came back and talked to Renee. Her husband works there, and I was just in awe that every 43 seconds a car rolls off that assembly line. And what would it be like to sit there and do that same thing for 650 times a day? So it was a neat experience to see that, to see the robots, but more importantly, starting to make the connections. And they are sponsoring some schools over in Louisville, and they are really starting to get serious and talk to us about sponsoring some folks at Jeffersonville High School, and possibly giving us the opportunity to have some of our seniors go over there and interview for positions, and they would be permanent positions. And if they were to get on, it would certainly be life-changing for those kids, and then they would have an opportunity to pursue college if they chose to do so once they were hired on. So some wonderful opportunities with our businesses over there. And then the awareness piece, we talked about the third aspect of our plan, and we had a good conversation with our businesses on how to recognize them. There are some things that we want to give back to them, to say they are partners with us. They have our students there, that they recognize the work ethic certifications. We had a great conversation with them on some of the different ideas on how we can promote that. Not only the work ethic certification, but promote the district and all the great things that are going on with the district, with our folks as well. So overall, a great meeting. A lot of good things continue to go on. And I think if there's anything, Dr. Mullen, you'd like to add, that was a synopsis of the meeting. We wanted to share with you and our board. Could certainly take any questions. Great. Thank you.
Oh, okay. What you said, yeah. Actually, I did have one question. Have you identified any River Park alum that we might be able to bring back in to talk about the program? We've got a great video maker now.
We do have a great video maker, and you caught me off guard. We did.
I think
It was.
we are trying to identify what's amazing. For example, the HR director at the Louisville Assembly Plant is a Jeffersonville High School graduate. So as we're going around all of these businesses, and again, Mr. Harris said over 200 businesses so far, businesses, there's so many Greater Park alums that are in prominent positions at all these businesses. And what they've agreed to do is they've agreed to not only open their place of employment up for our people to go see, but also they're willing to step out in, some people started in a production capacity, and now, in fact, one company, they're the general manager of the company.
That's right. He was an alum. And then we met with the CPA of the company that had worked his way up, and now he's advising folks that was alum. So we're certainly starting to do that, yes.
Very good. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, next update's on the parent advisory.
Board, I will tell you that, we, as you know, part of our strategic plan is the formation of a parent advisory. And it's been a great group. In fact, several parents here from Riverside have been leaders with that group. And I've been very proud to have been part of it. And last meeting, we had about 40 parents there. And in the past, we were getting about 20 or so parents, and we had 40. And what a great meeting it was. We had the opportunity to go over the action plan. Again, board, as you remember, we set our advisory action plans up similar to our strategic plan. And I'd just like to point out a few things. One of the things that we focused on was the development of a Greater Clark quick guide for parents. And this was, again, this was driven by the parents. This is something that they are saying they would like to have, because there's so many things going on, and they'd like to have quick ability to access that information. So we talked about and brainstorm ideas for what would be included in that guide. And so we have a lot of great ideas. Erin Bohorquez, who is our supervisor of communications and marketing, she is putting together that list. We'll send it back out to that group, make sure that we're not missing anything, and then we'll begin to develop. We're not looking at a real comprehensive book, something that's a quick, hard-hitting reference that would not be available through hard copy, but also be available on our website. And we're also considering the development of a Rare Farm app, which would just make things a little bit easier now with our society with mobile technology. So that's an all parent-driven plan. So to walk around all these vehicles and give these parents just brainstorming these ideas was really pretty exciting. So that's in that goal number 1, communication. That was a big area of focus. And then goal number 2, what we found last year, there's so many parent groups that do so many great things, just like here at Riverside. And one thing that was happening was they were all operating on islands. And when we started to bring representatives, and we had almost every school represented at this last meeting, now all of a sudden they start to learn from one another. If this was a successful program at Riverside, why couldn't that be successful at another school? So we agreed that we would have a networking opportunity at our next meeting in February, where we'll have parent leaders from all the buildings coming together, and we'll share out, a best practice from each of their buildings. And so they'll have a chance to learn from one another and go back to their schools and perhaps implement those things. Because every school, Greater Clark is very lucky in terms of having great supportive parents. And on the PTO level, they are really committed to doing great things. It's a lot of effort that goes into this. And these parents have been outstanding. And why not learn from one another? So those are the 2 big ticket items that we're really working on this year, because I told the parents it's more than just about getting together and looking good, saying that we have this advisory. It has to go deeper than that. We have to take action, and they are doing it. So by the end of the year, we hope to have a quick guide ready to go by the end of the school year, and then we'll also have that networking opportunity in February, of which I'll come back and report out to you. I don't know if you have any other questions or comments that we have to take care of.
Sign, please. Look over here. All right, thank you, Dr. Miller. Next is the multicultural advisory.
Well,
That one too?
I have that one too. Very lucky, Mrs. Kraft is a board representative on that group. I should have mentioned Mr. Satterley had attended the parent advisory that we have as well. So they have board representation on those advisories, is very much appreciated. We had about 14 people at our last meeting. Again, the multicultural advisory is a group that's designed to just really sort of keep us in check in terms of are we doing everything in our power as a school system to be respectful and sensitive to people who come from different walks of life. And I think it's been a great group. We developed this action plan. One of the things that we think is important is that we probably need to come back and revisit the work of Ruby Payne. Ruby Payne is now internationally renowned as an individual that comes in and helps to better make people more aware of individuals from different walks of life, especially from the poverty perspective. 56% of our students come from a free or reduced lunch background as a total district. And so I think it's important that we make sure that our entire staff who come from different backgrounds as well understand that and can adjust their instruction accordingly to better serve the needs of our diverse population. So that's one thing that we were talking about, getting a Ruby Payne book. We're starting the conversation, not too hard and heavy, but just make sure that it's on our mind. The other thing that we really like to see happen in our home business. I was fortunate enough when I was in East Allen County Schools, Ruby Payne worked with our district for director for 4 years. And one of the things that she did is she promoted home visits where East Delaware County Schools is a district similar in size and demographics to Greater Clark. And so what happened is, before school started, all of our educators went out and visited all of our students. So we had over 10,000 students, and all of our educators went out. 800 educators visited over 10,000 students in one day. And we did that very strategically by looking at neighborhoods, identifying kids. If the elementary teachers were going out and visiting elementary students, middle school, if people were visiting middle school students, I, as actually the principal, went out and visited. You pair up with another adult. We visited 50 families in one day. We advertised it so everyone knew that we were going to be out in the neighborhoods. And we would walk up to the door. We had a little welcome packet. We introduced ourselves. We said hello to the family and said how much we're looking forward to having them come to our school. And what was amazing, after the 4 years were up, we did a survey of all of our staff, 800 people, and the number one thing that they remembered and they thought was the most valuable were the home visits. Because it gave our educators the opportunity to see where our kids come from. And sometimes that is very enlightening. Most of us as educators are very, very lucky, very, very fortunate. And sometimes we don't always see where some of our kids, when I would visit a trailer that had windows, but no glass or plastic in those windows, and a family was living there, it sort of sends a message about why would that student have difficulty learning when throughout the night there was either too much heat, too much cold coming in, there were bugs. You know, it sort of puts it all in perspective to have a better sense of your student body. So anyway, I probably talked way too much about that, but that is something that we think would be important, and we're looking at the potential of visiting kindergarten, 6th, and 9th grade families next year. We might be difficult at this point to put the whole program together, because we visit our incoming kindergarten students, our incoming 6th graders, and incoming 9th graders at the starting point. So we're going to go to work on that. The other thing we talked about in the second action step is how do we increase the percentage of individuals of color working for us. See, we have about 34% of our students come from a diverse background, and from a staff perspective, it's only 7%. So it's never going to be perfect, but how do we go out and try to recruit more, not just teachers and principals, but in every way, in every position, they're all important. How do we recruit people that can be role models for our kids? Our Hispanic population is 11% of our student body. 1,100 Hispanic students in our district. 12% of our district are African American. Of the non-English speaking students in our district, and that's about 700, I believe, 700 to 800, they speak 27 different languages. So we have some work to do to go out and find the adults that come from these different backgrounds, so that, and what the best solution we found is using our college and career advisory to develop our kids from within, the talented kids that we have, and make sure that we can sort of develop a pathway. If they want to come back into education, we identify them, give them experience early teaching kids, and connect them back to our school district once they get their teaching license. So that is all coming from this multicultural group. So our strategic plan is vital. These advisories have been really, really critical to try to help us move forward. So that's an update on those two groups.
And I just say what a pleasure it is for me to be in that particular group. That is perfect. And I have an article that you probably saw about one of our schools celebrating diversity, and I think obviously we all and that's the part that the children need to understand how diverse we are and we need to understand each other.
one of the goals is to develop a recruiting process that focuses on hiring minorities. I would also like to see us have exit interviews with any minority that leaves our district so that we can examine the reasons and see if there's something that we need to do to change our culture and how we treat people.
One of the things too, Board, if you don't mind, is that we're finding is that we're actively going out and recruiting in all the appropriate spots around the country. And what we're finding are two issues. First of all, there are not the number of individuals of color wanting to get an education is very slim. There are too many opportunities out there for them to go somewhere else and make more money. And those who do want to go into education are being highly recruited to a lot of our large urban centers in our country. And they're given incentives to come and take positions there. So we found that to be, we're out there, but that's what our recruiters are coming back and telling us. And so I want you to know as a board that we're actively doing that, but we will continue. But we also know that, we've got this 34% of our students are coming from a diverse background, so let's identify them and grow them and bring them back and be those role models in the future.
There was an interesting article in the Printed Journal, and if you shut your eyes and did but if you did look at where it was coming from, you would think you were talking about Fairfield County schools, but it's actually Jefferson County. It was Louisville schools, and you think of them as being a very large metropolitan school district, but they're having the exact same issue. So we have a lot of competition.
Next one is policy review. We don't have anything tonight, but we've got that queued up, so we just need to know that. So Jim will say about so I'll get a chance to look at that. All right, so next is the budget report, fund monitoring. So
my body doesn't turn like it normally did. Not at my age. Just to let you know, a little debate here. We're doing very good. Very good. We're sitting at $3,968,000 is what we're projecting for our ending cash balance in the general fund. That's because of all the cost containment and reductions that we've done over the last year and a half. So general fund's looking real good. Skip over the next two because there's no activity in those two. Capital projects, we're looking at an ending cash balance of $978,000. That may change a little bit, but again, we don't know what the circuit breakers will do to us until the middle of December when we get our final tax draw. So that could go up or down. Transportation operating, we're looking at a negative 162,000. Again, that could change up or down. One nice thing is fuel costs are coming down, so hopefully that will be a saving grace there for us. Bus replacement, looking at a cash balance of about $33,000 at the end of the year. We did the additional appropriation last board meeting, so we're buying 2 additional buses, and that's why the cash balance has dropped because of that. I would still like to try to buy a small minibus for one of the schools. And the rainy day fund, we're looking at about $3.5 million in the rainy day fund. So with all the changes, the requests that we've made, we keep putting it back in for Project Lead the Way. So we're doing very well. So, any questions?
Thank you. This is the October update for nutrition services. We want better way to start it off than to talk about food. So for October, our promotion was all about burgers. And the 2 chicken patty topped with red pepper, feta, and bean spread, cucumbers and tomatoes. And then we also featured a crispy sriracha burger, which if you guys know, the latest craze for the last couple months has been the sriracha sauce. So we created a burger that was with sriracha ketchup, tortilla chips, roasted red onions, and cheese. So all in all, we sold about 200 of those throughout the week that we sold these 2 burgers. So, and if you've been out in the buildings, this month is all about pizza, so we're featuring 2 new pizzas. One is a sweet and spicy pizza, and this week is all about pizza nueva. And to carry on the tradition of employee morale boosting, I am honored to recognize the October Manager of the Month, which is Janice Brewer, the manager from Maple Elementary School. She actually is a 30-year veteran who retired from a surrounding school district and then chose to come over to Greater Clark and finish out the rest of her career with us. She first started at Parkview Middle School and chose to move in a different direction, wanted to go to a manager role, so she went over to Maple. And in the year's time that she has been there, she's quickly caught on to her new manager duties. She's perfected the production of breakfast and lunch, and she has coached her employees to improving the quality of service for our students. All around, the cleanliness of the kitchen has improved greatly, and so is the quality of our food. So we owe that to Janice and her team. Our October Employee of the Month is Barbara Groh. She is from Jeffersonville High School. Barb is a 22-year veteran of Greater Clark County, so she's been with us for a long time. She's had to go through many changes with all the new USDA regulations. Barb is somebody that kind of rolls with the punches, so to speak, and she has a lot on the plate, which no pun intended there. She takes care of preparing our main entrees, our hot daily vegetables, our taco line entrees, and all of our side dishes. She assists the manager in closing up for the day. She counts milk, she takes temperatures, she puts up stock, and she can even lock up the kitchen by herself. So Barb takes great pride in the job that she does, especially when the ER manager is not there. So please recognize Janice and Barb as our Employees of the Month for October. We're very proud to have them on board. Just a few pictures down below, cool things going on around our district. Charlestown Middle at the top left corner. It's a picture of their fresh fruit and vegetable bar, and it's the 3 lines there. So Tanya has done a great job in improving the selection of all of our side dishes that the kids have options for, including additional fresh fruits and vegetables. The middle and right side of the pictures are back at Jeffersonville High School. Put up a few things to spruce up the lines with the Custom Brothers, where we focus on all of our grill items such as burgers, chicken patties, all the kids' favorites. And then on the right-hand side is the deli line, which you can do a made-to-order deli and made-to-order salads. On the very bottom is Parkwood Elementary, which we're so proud of Diana. If you can remember, last month she was our September Manager of the Month, and she's done a lot of great things over there to enhance the service and just the overall presentation of our food. The far left side, as soon as you walk into the serving line, there is a display of what they're going to have for breakfast the next morning. So although we do breakfast in the classroom every morning, sometimes the kids aren't aware of what we're having until they actually get into the classroom. So every day at lunch now, they're going to see what they're being served for the next day. Of course, on Friday, we do Monday's option. In the middle there, that is a display of all of our featured entrees for the day. These are put in really nice display cases so the kids can't touch it and grab it. But because we do have a higher Hispanic population over there, sometimes the kids can't communicate with us what they actually want. So this is a great way to kind of keep the kids out of the picture, just to make sure we're in compliance there. But they do actually touch, or they point to the display plate that they actually want for that day. So it kind of helps break down that barrier of lack of communication. And then on the far right side is just a display of what all of our fruits and vegetables are for the day. So once again, the kids get there and they can point to us and help. We're actually currently working with one of the teachers over there that we can make our signs in English and in Spanish too. So hopefully we'll get that done sooner than later. Unfortunately, I don't specialize in Spanish, so We've had great help over there. And then just a quick financial update, intercession success that we had. Although you look at breakfast, we were down about 300 over last fall's intercession. And I think that was just due to we changed up how we did it at the high school at Jeffersonville, so the kids didn't have to take breakfast. So the good news is that we increased our lunch counts about 600 over the course of the week. So that fully made up for the loss that we suffered at breakfast time. A lot less food reduction waste as well, so that was a positive thing for us. And then finally, a financial update of where we're at with our profit and loss. We're about $60,000 up over what we were at this time last year. So if we can keep the snow away, I can see that, that we're headed for a great financial return again this year. So we're very proud of that. Any questions?
Thank you for the update, and please pass on our thanks and congratulations to Mr. Brewer and Mr. Miller.
I sure will. Thank you.
All right, next is an update on the nursing student presentation. Staples, take us through that.
Good evening. My name is Teresa Stingle, Mental Services Coordinator for Greater Clark, and I've had the privilege of working with a fellow nurse this past 6 weeks or so, Michelle Bissett. She's a registered nurse at Clark Memorial Hospital. She's currently working on obtaining her bachelor's degree from Indiana State University. Michelle was interested in school nursing and asked me to be her preceptor for her community health nursing clinical assignment. And she's here to tell us a little bit about what she was able to do during her time with us here at Greater Clark.
And it's actually been my pleasure to work with Teresa. She is such a great asset for Greater Clark, and I really appreciate the time and energy that she's put into helping me. So the two main projects that I have done with Teresa has been one, a diabetes education program with the health assistants and school nurses. It included a PowerPoint presentation to be in accordance with Indiana law IC 20-34-5, care of the student with diabetes. That participation took place on the 24th at the administration building, and it included all the education that they needed to be in compliance with those standards, and also a competency check-off that they all successfully completed. I was able to get quite a bit of positive feedback that it really helped several of the health assistants who've not had that opportunity to work with diabetic students for their future, since the diabetic students ratio is on the rise. In addition to another project that I had that Teresa helped me with was a bullying prevention program that was presented to 4 elementary schools to the 4th grade classes. So over 300 student participation and teachers to prevent a bullying prevention stand up, speak out. And it was very emotional, so a lot of the students actually were able to express some of their concerns, their stories of bullying, and what it did to them and how it affected them. So this program, I've noticed the Breakfast Challenge banners going around, and it's just so important that the bullying prevention continues through all the age levels. And I wish I would have had the time to actually present 2 more of the schools, but I know with several of them already having the bullying prevention programs, it was just an honor to be able to do the 4th grade classes. And those schools were Jonathan Jennings, Pleasant Ridge, North Haven, and Utica. So, and I did get some feedback from Ms. Wood at North Haven, how the poster that we left with them, which was a bullying prevention poster, where they were able to put a post-it of positive compliments on there. That way if somebody was having a bad day, they could kind of take a positive compliment, something nice for them to take back with them today to kind of help, you know, make them feel a little bit better for the day. And then also a bully reporting container that was allowed to, if they weren't able to stand up and speak up for themselves, they could report their bully and be able to hopefully put it into that bullying and make their school experience a little bit better. A lot of the bullying happens on the bus, the cafeterias, the classrooms, and the bathrooms. I was surprised to see that that was one of the key areas that was going on in. So, but that was my presentation, and I do appreciate you all allowing me the opportunity to work with Teresa. Thank you.
Next, we have an update on the student clinic. Anxious to hear about that.
As you know, that we have reached an agreement and a partnership with Clark Memorial Hospital and Clark Physicians Group to open up 2 student clinics that house nurse practitioners. There's one at Jeffersonville High School and one at Charlestown High School. This enables the students any student enrolled in Greater Clark to have the ability to make an appointment with a nurse practitioner for diagnosis and hopefully treatment to get them back to the classroom quicker. We'll be getting some statistics monthly, and the statistics on the screen are from October. The clinics themselves did not open until after fall break, so these statistics are just for 2 weeks in October. We saw a total of 51 students. I was just saying, the nurse practitioner saw a total of 51 students, 30 at Jeffersonville High School and 21 at Charlestown High School. There's a breakdown towards the bottom of the page as far as the grade level, with the biggest percentage being in the high school. They can get passes out from their teacher and report to the clinic on their own once they have consent on file. It's a little trickier with the younger kids, and following our protocol and having the parents call in and get an appointment and getting those kids there. We are seeing now increases in that, and it is working out really well. There are medications that the nurse practitioners keep on hand that they can send home with the students free of charge. And we saw out of the 51 students, 17 of those did get medications taken home. A portion of them, 14 of them did receive a prescription, or a prescription was called into the pharmacy for them. They can do some basic labs there in the office, some blood draws, some strep tests on their strep throat if they have a sore throat. They're starting to do some flu testing now, so some tests can be done there. They also have the ability to send out some of the labs that are needed to be sent out. Say a student has the little quick strep test there in the office, but they feel like they need to send it out for further testing. They do have the ability to do that. They also survey the students on whether they have a primary care physician and send a summary with each student to the primary care physician. And out of 51 students, there was only 35 that actually had a primary care physician that they see. 38 of those students were able to go back to class and finish out their day, where 13 of them were sent home because of their illness was considered they were too ill to be at school. They do also send a summary home to the parent. And out of the 51, there was 50 summaries sent home to the parent. There was one student, I believe, that was 18, and decided for the parent not to receive the summary. 14 out of the 51, there were parents present, and then there was 35. The 35 students, that did have the primary care physician, those primary care physicians did receive a summary. The top 5 diagnoses were nausea, vomiting, asthma, allergies, sinusitis, and sore throat. Again, the November statistics will show more, flu, things like that, in some of the younger. So we look forward to getting some more information from them. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
On the meds sent home,
Yes.
what types of meds are we talking about?
They have just some basic medication. Some are antibiotics. Sometimes they might have some antifungal cream or some cortisone if they have a rash. So just some basic medications that they keep there. Some would be prescribed, and they can send them home with the parent. Or if not, then they can give them a prescription for them. But they're trying to keep some there on hand. That way the student does not have to go and pay for the prescription.
Well, I know it's a little bit early probably, but do you have any idea of what the percentage of students who have chosen to participate in the program is? I'm sure this area will get later on, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, one thing that we've worked hard at is we're still collecting the data. Parents have got to go through a consent process, although we've also had situations in which the parents, the child's in the clinic, and the parent comes in to complete the forms of the clinic so that they can be seen. So I think what's going to be really telling, because this is only 2 weeks of data, and I think we come back to you in December and give you another update, and we'll have a month and a half of data. But I think the utilization has greatly increased is what I'm hearing.
Yes, and even if the parents have not filled out their consents ahead of time, the nurse practitioner and the health office staff can assist them in getting those filled out. So we're seeing an increase as the weeks go on.
It's pretty interesting to see how this transforms.
Yes.
Thank
Thank you.
All right, moving into student achievement, next is the accountability grades.
Board, what I'd like to share with you, if you go to the first tab, thank you. On the first tab here, these are the official grades as a result of 2013-14. And what the chart shows is every one of our schools listed down the left-hand side. It gives you a little bit of a chronological accounting of what the letter grades have been over the past 4 years. And you can compare 2012-13 to 13-14. If you go down, you'll see that the number of A schools stayed the same in our district. We have 9 A schools out of our 18, which we're very proud of. Riverside, of course, being one of those. One of the improvements is we had one school that moved up from a C to a B, and that's Jeffersonville High School. In fact, they were, I think, maybe around 10 students away from an A, which for a school that size speaks volumes. The Charlestown High School, by the way, it received an A for the 2nd straight year. So we're very proud of that. We have one less D school. Parkview and River Valley continue to be in that D range. As you know, Board, we've put a lot of resources into those buildings. Leadership, staffing, professional development. Amy Schellenberg in our central office is dedicating the majority of her time assisting those schools. And the one thing, though, that we see is we are growing and we're getting better. I'll start to share some statistics with you a little bit. But you can see, if you look all the way over to the right-hand column, you'll see the point differential. And so, for example, Bridgepoint, they went from a D to a B. They improved their grade point average by 1.75. You can see that North Haven is a real success story, going from a D to an A. They improved their point score by 2.75, which is incredible. You can see that although Parkwood did not change from a B, they did grow by 0.25. And keep in mind, half of those students in that building are Hispanic, and most of those are non-English speakers. We had Spring Hill was probably a great concern for us. Only 190 students in the building. They had 5th grade that didn't perform well. And in such a small school like that, every student makes such a huge difference. So they had a decline from the A to D status. But remember, just the year before, again, they were an A. And so it just goes to show that the school accountability system as it's currently set up, and I guess the hope is that you can have a D one year and really work and do the work you need to do to become an A, like North Haven. But you better not be comfortable with that A status because it can go the other way on you. And so it really tells you, both sides of that story. I think that basically talks about the highlights. We're still a C corporation, which is very, personally, I don't think it was a C corporation with everything we're accomplishing. There are a lot of metrics that don't, but based upon this, we're in 2.83. And I just think we're very close to breaking over the top and getting to that B range as a school corporation. If you go to the next tab, the 4-year, that just shows you, again, Maple, New Washington, and Utica have been A's all 4 years of the letter grade system. You have Riverside, and Wilson, as well as Jonathan Jennings. They've been A's 3 of the 4 years. You see Parkview Middle, has been a D 3 of the 4 years, and River Valley's been a D all 4 years. But as I said, you know, we have put a lot of work and effort in the last couple of years and feel like progress is being made, but let's hope we get over the top of those buildings this year. The last bonus point tab, if you don't mind. If you'll just scroll down a little bit, what we do is Karen Spencer is here. And Karen Spencer, the person who's putting all this data together, I wish I could take credit for it, but I can't. She's awesome, and she makes all of us look better. So thank you, Karen. But what we do is we're tracking those bonus points. Remember, or all the way over on the left-hand side is ELA points. So based upon performance, you get a basic score. So if you look at Bridgepoint, they got a 3 English language arts, which is that B category. But they also earned a bonus point. See, green is a 1. And what that shows is that they had either the bottom 25% of their students in high growth or the top 75% of their students in high growth. There's a bonus point for either one of those categories. Well, they earned the bonus point in that category. So that moved them up to that 8 range for English language arts. And then you come across their performance in math was a 3. They didn't earn any bonus, but they had a reduction, so their total math was a 3. So you average those two, it becomes a 3.5, which is a B. But that's awfully close to that A range. So, you know, that happened to us a lot. Look at, Jonathan Jennings. They earned 2 bonus points. They actually had a 5.5 for English language arts. And they also earned 2 bonus points in math. So really, the highest the state will give them is a 4, but they should have been a 5.5, which I wish there was a way to recognize the fact. Why not give them a 5.5? But anyway, now if you come down, you look at Spring Hill. They have a 2.5 GPA for their performance, but they lost a point. And you lose a point for having too many students in what's called low growth. And that is a killer. You can just look at that. Spring Hill and New Washington Middle and Parkview and River Valley, they all lost points because of too many kids in low growth. Now, what do you do there? If you think about low growth just being kids who are low academic achievers, they're the ones in low growth. That's not what we're finding. You're finding kids that are in what should be called typical growth, or those backbone kids, and those high-level kids that are not getting to high growth. So they're in fact in low growth. So you could have a high-level performer, a student that scores very well on it, but because they're not growing enough, it could be that they end up in low growth. And that's what we found, is that you cannot just focus on one particular group of students here. The thing I like about this model is that it really makes schools look at the whole student body. You want all kids to grow, and if they're not growing, there's potential to lose points. If you'll just scroll down a little bit more for me, a little bit more. Okay, right there. You can see the deductions for English language arts was 3.5. In math, it was 3. But if you'll scroll down even more, because that compares to 12 and 13, all the way down, maybe a little bit more, please. Just right here. The deductions the year before were 6.5 in language arts. So we went from 6.5 of deductions the year before, 12-13 in language arts, to 3.5. I think that's a significant. That shows a level of growth. Now, in math, we still stay relatively stable in our deductions, but there's been a major focus in our district on literacy and helping kids in those language arts skills. And I think it shows that you see fewer deductions, and I think that that's a positive. So, board, I can make all of this available to you. There's a lot of information there. I greatly appreciate Karen, our team, our people at our building do a tremendous job. And overall, we're getting better. We're not where we need to be, but we want to be. Questions?
Our district score, am I correct in that students that were mobile are included in our district score?
No. In the district score, what happens is it takes out the students to be counted toward accountability, they have to be in their building
Right,
for 162 days.
right.
So compare this to our ISTEP scores, and what happens is, ISTEP does include all kids, whether they were in the building for 5 days or all 180. So this does at least, for example, Maple has a very mobile population, but what's helped them all 4 years is those students who have stayed at Maple for 162 days, that's where they're starting to get the biggest benefit.
But when we look at our district school,
Yes. Oh, yes.
then the
fault. That's correct.
mobilities, the students with mobility are included.
My fault. Yes.
Even if they were only with us for the ISTEP test.
That's true. They don't count against the school.
School,
But
but
they
they
do
count
count
against
against
our
us.
district school.
That's correct. So we had, I think we had 140 students
Yeah.
that were mobile. In other words, they were in our district less than 162 days, and their performance does count against us as a district. So I apologize.
And, you know, I don't understand that the state would look at it that way, because we didn't have a student in our district. We're not going to hold the school accountable. Why is the district held accountable for it?
Well, those 140 students would move us up into the, if they were not counted against us, that would move us up into the B range. So
That's what I wanted you to say.
Sorry. Thanks for correcting me. Yeah.
Thank you.
I would like to know why they didn't put the amount of waivers. Why is that not?
Well, we make sure it gets published when it comes out, but it's not, the high school accountability grades do include college and career readiness factors, like percentage of kids that take AP, or dual credit, or industrial certification. There's a graduation rate factor that does count for them and can benefit for them. All of our high schools benefit greatly from the college and career readiness factor, but it doesn't take into account the low percentage of waivers, which we're very proud of. It should.
Because we need to say that that's not the case for any schools. And I think we should be very proud of it.
I agree.
Next is the state assessment update. Ms. Schoenberg's going to take us.
Thank you. As we talk about the accountability grades, obviously those are based on the state assessment. Those state assessments are based on academic standards. For the past 5 years, probably starting 5 or 6 years ago, corporation made a commitment to Common Core state standards. In doing so, we also knew that a new assessment would be coming. We anticipated the new assessment to be administered in 2015-16 school year. If you remember when we talked about the Indiana's application for the No Child Left Behind waiver, the renewal, you can remember that a lot of that was very politically charged this past year. And in order to get the waiver approved, Indiana had to accelerate their plan to A, change their standards or identify the standards, and then B, implement a new assessment program. So late spring, new standards were released. We quickly adjusted our pacing guides as best we could. And then in late summer, we knew that the new assessment would be coming. And over the last 2 months, we've been getting information out regarding what kind of changes we can anticipate with this new state test. And what we do know is with the new test, there's no grandfathering in. Our scores from this year, from last year, that Dr. Mellon just reviewed, will be compared to the scores on this brand new assessment here in the spring. If you just kind of think about what the rationale for adjusting those standards was really this emphasis that over the last few years, colleges and chambers of commerce, workplace have really put pressure on the fact that kids are coming out maybe not at the level of proficiency in which they need to be, and focusing on this stat that by 2018, 63% of the jobs are going to require some sort of post-secondary So the state felt the need to accelerate making those adjustments. Our biggest, ready, the next one, our biggest adjustments within the English language arts is that there will be more, rather than cold writes for kids or just prompt write, kids will have to be responding to reading passages and text passages in a lengthier environment than what they typically would have. And a lot of those passages are going to be based on informational text rather than, say, a piece of literature, a fable, a fairy tale, anything like that. So it's really getting kids to look at graphs, analyze, respond to text, make conclusions, summarize, those kinds of things. In mathematics, some of the biggest changes are really going to be where in the past, the test would have guided you to use a ruler, use a protractor. Kids are going to no longer have those prompts. They're going to have to determine what the tools are that they need to solve the problems and defend why they basically used or chose those tools. So that's a big shift for us. Typically, with a problem, a kid may have a calculator that pops up, you know to use this calculator, you know to use this ruler. That's not the case any longer. The kids will have basically a toolbox, and they'll have to choose the right one. So it's a different way of thinking, a different way of approaching mathematical problems. Really, they're trying to develop kids' efficiency to accurately compute and problem solve. Huge emphasis on problem solving. Next page. The ISEP windows pretty much look the same for our grades 3 through 8. We'll have an applied skills that will take place the first couple weeks of March, March 2nd through the 11th. And within that, the whole test itself is shifting towards an online platform, but the online for this spring will be voluntary. We are going to use paper pencil for our applied test this year, just in keeping kind of some sort of semblance of normalcy of what our kids have been expecting. And then the online testing window for that is in March 2nd through the 13th, so there's a little bit longer for school districts that are going online. And then in the second part, April 27th through May 8th, that is the online multiple choice section, similar to what we've been doing. The biggest issue here is that test itself, the online test, is going through some significant changes, and we'll talk about our kind of preparation for that. The next slide talks about the acuity assessments. We've used acuity for, probably upwards of 8 or 9 years. We used to use NWEA as just a benchmarking tool for our schools. When CTB McGraw-Hill was awarded the ISEP contract, they came out with the acuity test as a predictive. So kids would take that test at 3 different points prior to the ISEP. The first point was about 2/3 of that test would be based on their prior year standards, with 1/3 on their current grade level, and that would shift until that last predictive assessment was all on grade level. Now, with this new assessment, they're considering it pre-test, post-test. So that first test, second test, third test is all at grade level. So our kids went through, and teachers went through significant change and kind of shocking experience to have to give this assessment that was really unlike anything that they had seen prior. Had to do a lot of work just talking to kids about adjusting how they think about this particular assessment. And we continue to learn more and more. So thankful, Dr. Mel mentioned Karen Spencer. Not only does she kind of take all this data, but she's also kind of our front end in attending all of the meetings. She's our test coordinator for the state, our state representative, and then also she has been able to attend a lot of these meetings and just kind of get a handle on what's coming and help kind of prepare and translate it for us. Kids will continue to take science and social studies. There's not really a change in that format. The next slide just kind of talks about professional development. Slowly but surely, more and more information is coming out, ideally from From our perspective, all of this should have been out last spring. We should have had the summer to really work with teachers and prep so that we begin this school year knowing what we're teaching, how it's going to be assessed, but we're really just having to try to respond as appropriately and as calmly as we possibly can. Recently, they did release a site called Experience College and Career Ready Assessment, and I've given you the link there that you can go. It's really interesting to go and use that. They'll give you sample assessments in grades 3 and 4, 5 and 6, and 7 and 8. And the next couple slides, I've just kind of captured what those assessment changes will look like. In the past, we're all used to a multiple choice assessment. There's one right answer. From this point forward, there are questions that will be included in the assessment that ask kids to choose the 2 correct answers. So that's a change that kids are not used to. If you go to the next slide, there's just different charts that kids will be filling in. A lot of as I said at the beginning, kids are really going to have to be engaged in reading and responding in a different manner. The next gives some sample of the math. You can see kids will have to drag and drop to calculate, just using what the state is considering technologically enhanced items. So kids are going to have to be familiar with how to use the mouse appropriately. And we feel that a lot of the work we've had in terms of like our learning.com, our Easy Tech, kind of gives kids those opportunities. And then Renee, the next slide just gives another example where select the 3 equations that are true. So these are really different formats. The one thing we can say we like, they're probably a little more engaging for kids. Kids have to be more active within a screen, but the rigor and the level of performance required is a big shift for kids. As we kind of go forward, when we talk about the high schools also will be receiving a change. In some ways, it's going back to what used to be the graduation qualifying exam, away from the ECAs. This year, we'll finish the year with ECA as part of that, but they will also be piloting graduation qualifying exam items as well. So there'll be a little bit of a blend for those. The next slide just kind of shows us, this is if you think back to where we were going from GQE to ECA, you can't just do that in 1 year because you have kids and legislatively they have to be able to retake, and when whatever your graduation requirements were when you entered a freshman year, we have to see those out. So our current freshmen are still held accountable to the ECAs they'll have 3 additional years to finish out under that model. The current 8th graders, as they go into next year, they'll be under the new testing requirements. And then there are also acuity assessments that go through and support the ECA or the new graduation exam and ECAs. The online experience for those ECAs is not open yet, but they're supposed to be opened in January. And then there's just some work that the state is continuing to do in 2015-16. We'll have the assessments in place. There'll be alternative assessments, informative assessments available, basically starting over with a lot of this. The last slide for us, what this means is right now we're having to adjust our current pacing guides based on new guidance. We adjusted our pacing guides, and then the guidance came out that said, now these are the most important standards. So we need to make sure that those most important standards aren't covered in the 4th quarter, that we get them taught and assessed prior to the windows opening. And then also just giving our teachers an opportunity to learn these new assessment tools and begin to integrate them into instruction so that they become more comfortable with it and kids at least have initial exposure prior to testing. So it's a lot of it.
This makes my head fun. I don't want it to sound like sour grapes, but if we're going to compare the current results of the current test to this new assessment, And I know everybody in the state's gonna be doing it. But I hope our scores don't drop, but how could they not? it hurts my head to think about this. And the thing about the acuity test changing, I cannot imagine what the teachers had to go through, because they had kids that are used to passing things and used to doing well, and now all of a sudden, the first test, they're all bomb, or most of them are. So, that's my head hurt.
It's a big shift, and we, like I said, ideally, we would have had the information and had the ability in the spring to prep for this, but. True.
Once the state made the decision, for whatever reason, to transition away from the Common Core, then the federal government said, okay, you can do that, but now you're also accountable to an assessment.
Yeah.
So we, in my opinion, I felt we hurt ourselves as a state by transitioning. There was no educator that I was aware of in the state that had a major issue with the Common Core standards. We were trying to move in, I thought, in a good uniform direction. But now the federal government has said, okay, well, it can change, but you have to change your assessment. So now, the other issue is the accountability tool that I just went over will be in place for one more year, as you mentioned, with an apples to oranges comparison, in my opinion. They say there's a scientific formula that will make it work, so can't wait to see. And then, but then in the long run, a new accountability system, which I think is going to be good for the state, is in the works for the following year. So I think the state is going to be a tough year for our state, and I think we've caused ourselves more harm than good. And that's my opinion.
I just want to make sure that we communicate well to our teachers and our students and our parents, so that they understand this conundrum that we find ourselves in. And I can't imagine the pressure on our teachers. All right, just can't imagine.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is the consent agenda. We have items 1 through 7. We'd like to take those together. Mr. White, any questions, comments? If not, all in favor? Be called roll. Thank you. Ms. Kraft, would you please so kind as to talk about gifts to buildings?
Yes, we're down a little bit this month, but we have, just like New Washington and River Valley Middle, we're always appreciative when we have undertaken us to give money. Appreciate that, and I think if that has been, we should do that.
Second.
Okay, so Ms. Kraft is first and Ms. Perkins second. Wait a minute. All right.
I'll let it play.
All in favor? Be called roll. Okay. Next, the action items, and the first one is the auction year contract. Are you going to talk about the auction year?
No. Can't do it. I'm excited about this. This is the first time I've ever done an auction on the internet. And I did talk to Fred Porter and Dan Limbs at New Albany Floyd. Got this gentleman's name, and we met him out at Wick to show him the buses and things. So we wanted to auction. So anyway, we'd like to hold an internet auction starting on December 1st and ending on December 15th. We're going to sell buses, maintenance vehicles, and other miscellaneous equipment that has already been declared surplus by our board. The contract is with Herod Group from New Albany, and the fee is broken down as follows. He gets a 10% commission on items sold and an advertising budget of $2,250. The Herod Group will take pictures of the equipment, posted on their website, and you can physically view the equipment on Wednesdays, December 10th from 1 to 5 at Whitman property. All equipment has to be picked up by Wednesday, December 17th. This will be our first attempt, like I said, and I hope it's going to be successful. New Albany Floyd was very successful on their internet auction. So. Motion to approve. Mr. White. Thank you, Mr. Pratt. Any questions or comments?
Dr. Echo, I just have a quick question. On the higher price items like the vehicles, are we going to have a reserve, or are we just taking whatever we can get?
We're going to take whatever we can get. He's been doing pretty good, he said, on the buses. So we should hopefully be getting $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 or more on the bus. And the nice thing about the auction is on the internet, sometimes people will wait until the last minute to put a bid in. Well, if it's at the last minute and then all of a sudden there's a bid, then you'll have at least 15 seconds to counter bid, and it keeps going back and keeps adding 15 seconds as long as you keep bidding. So there's not a way, like if you go to a silent auction, you wait until the last minute and you run up there and sign your name to it. It doesn't work like that on the internet auction. So I learned some things. Maybe we can do more and more of this.
But it is an absolute auction.
Yes. We need to clear out room for orders.
Is that a cash only?
Yes.
All right. Any further questions? If not, all in favor? Be filed. Thank you. Next is the permission to advertise the tax anticipation packages.
Yes, I'm excited about this. With our cash balance that we have projected in the general fund, we're not going to borrow any money in the general fund, so that'll reduce our debt service tax rate a little bit because of that. So what we're looking for, normally in the past years, we've always advertised for $8 million, and it was always broken out between general fund transportation and capital projects. This year, we're only asking for $4,686,000. $2,086,000 in transportation operating and $2,006,000 in capital projects. These will be repaid on December 31st, 2015. So if you approve it today, we'll publish 2 advertisements, November 25th, December 2nd. We'll receive bids in my office electronically, they'll come in faxes or whatever. Then we'll bring it to the school board on the 16th, and then we'll get our money on January 5th. And we'll pay it back by December 31st.
Ms. Craft? Ms. Perkins, any questions or comments? All right, all in favor? Be filed. Thank you. Budget reduction resolution.
Yes, this resolution we do always at the end of the year. As we get closer to the end of the year, we think we know where our final numbers will be. But because of the circuit breaker, we're asking to reduce our capital projects fund by $1,524,828 and the transportation operating fund by $215,000, all due to the circuit breaker. These are monies that we're going to lose and never see again.
Motion. I think our Ms. Craft is.
No.
Thank you, Ms. Stevens. Thank you, Ms. Williams. Questions or comments for Dr. Beck? All in favor? Filed.
Thank you.
All right, next item is the MOU with IUS on Your Neighbor's Education Center. Dr. Parker, please do that.
Yes, if you'll remember at our last meeting, you approved our Title III grant of approximately $99,000 and our non-English speaking state grant of approximately $60,000. And so we use a great deal of that money to plan and direct various professional development activities, to help support the teachers with our work and cultural competency, and also an outreach to our students and their families. And so this is an opportunity for us. Dr. Mellon spoke of our multicultural advisory committee tonight. We heard about our college career and developing our kids within for future employment opportunities. And so this is really an opportunity for us to measure all of the things that we're putting in place, the effectiveness of them with IUS. They approached Travis and I, we met with them because this specifically relates to our secondary program schools, River Valley Middle School and Jeffersonville High School, to conduct a multivariable study to determine the effectiveness longitudinally of the things that we're doing with our students. So we believe that this is an excellent opportunity at no cost to us with a graduate student who works closely with New Neighbors to basically organize the data for us to determine decision-making for future years.
Questions, comments, or
You're welcome.
all in favor? This is the purchase of teacher devices through the common school loan.
Right. We came to you at our last meeting to accept the common school loan. During that time, Brett Clark in that department have been working with our school technology coordinators to narrow down and select a device. The two devices that we looked at were the Lenovo Yoga and the Dell Venue. The STCs met together and then went back to the buildings, took the specs, showed the staffs at the different buildings the differences, and it came back pretty overwhelmingly in support of the Dell Venue. So we would like to move forward with that purchase. The Dell Venue is a tablet that has an attached detachable keyboard. So teachers will not be tethered to the front of the room having to be tied to their Promethean board. They will be able to use that as a tablet and walk around, which will help with proximity with where they are within the classroom. We have a long-standing relationship with Dell. They've been a great vendor for us in the past, so there's a confidence level in their support. These units will have docking stations for there, but they'll be very mobile for the teachers to use. The biggest issue is that when you think about your iPad, the Venue looks a lot like an iPad, but it's a full processor. So all the memory, everything that you can store on your big desktop unit, you can do on these tablets. So we're pretty confident and comfortable with this direction. So we'd like to ask board approval for the purchase. And speaking with Dell today, they feel like they can have it shipped out within the next 5 weeks, and they'll have them imaged for us. So whatever software and programs we want on those units, Dell will do that for us, which is a huge relief to our tech service department.
Motion to approve, Ms. White.
Second.
Ms. Gilpin, any questions or comments? All right, all in favor?
Thank you.
All right, discussion items, I don't think we have anything listed tonight. We don't have any requests for, or do we have any requests for reports?
From the redevelopment commission, two items. One is on the Thompson Lake project. They put that out for bid, it's been on for 4 or 5 years. They put it out for bid, it came back, but they were using grant or in-out money. And the problem was it came back over the engineer's budget by 15%. They didn't have 4 bidders, and it was slightly over $1 million, so they can't do it. So that presented a problem on what to do. They couldn't even pay the difference. So what they've done is they've taken the money that the state was applying it for 10th Street. The redevelopment is going to do this project on their own. So Andy Crouch is putting back to the specifics, get all paid out. They should be able to get that paid out and ready to do next summer. So this may actually happen by next summer. The second thing was out at Wilson Elementary. There is apparently, I don't drive by there during the day, there's a problem with student pickup. And the problem is that the parents all back up on the Charlestown Jeffersonville Pike, all over the pike and private drives everywhere, waiting to pick up their kids. So what redevelopment has offered to do is put in a queuing lane or a pickup lane on our property that would start further up from the school and have a road come in, allow for the stacking of all the cars to come on our property and then create a one-way system to go out. And they have agreed to do that to take care of the traffic problems in that area and everything. I think because of what takes place on Holmes Lane and Veterans Parkway there, it's already a big problem with cars. So that is something if we allow them the right way to do that and agree to this, they will pick up the cost of $60,000 if they get in next summer also. I'm just going to pass those two things on to you. And you have to agree to it in order for it to complete, and they will prepare right away agreement and everything, saying present to us as we go forward. That's all.
How soon do they need that resolution from us?
I don't think it's urgent, they'll prepare the, I think they'll prepare that and present it back. I told them I felt that, support that.
All right, thank you, Mr. Klein. Scoop, anything? All right, let's see, Dr. Mellon, public comments on non-agenda items. All right, so we're down to board comments, so Ms. Perkins.
No, thank you.
Ms. Pratt. Mr. White. Ms. Gilkey.
Well, Ms. Kimball, thank you for hosting us tonight. And you had a big showing of your staff here, which is always great. And we got to see kids, which is the best thing of all. So thank you very much. And for the teachers, that are still here, and actually all the staff, I'm going to pick on Miss Edel for a half a second. She knows I love her. But I just want to encourage you all. I know with all the testing changes and IDOE changes and assessments, I'm sure there are times when you get frustrated and, wonder what the world am I doing this for? And I just want to point out Miss Edel because my daughter went to school here. I live here in this neighborhood. And she's 21 years old. And still, to this day, whenever I tell her that I saw Miss Edel, it brings a smile to her face. And she always, is excited to hear about how she's doing. So keep up the great work. And just remember every day is an opportunity for you to bring a smile to a child's face. And we don't say it enough. Thank you for everything that you do. And Miss Edel, I love you. Thank you. She makes the best brownies. Thank you so much. Thank you. And happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Ms. Edel, I don't even know you, but I love you too. Mr. Kimball, thank you so much for hosting this tonight. It's been a great evening for us. And again, I say this every time we get out, it grounds us to what we do here. So we appreciate it. Always let us see the other ones. So, Dr. Ellis.
Just a couple of quick things. I'd like to thank Renee and Daniel. When we go on the road, when we take the show on the road, there's a lot of work that goes into it, making sure it all happens. Renee, really appreciate her efforts, and Daniel, as usual, for making sure things are being on our web and recorded and so on. So I want to thank them. And also I want to thank my staff, everyone that presented tonight. I'm very proud of them. They do a great job on a daily basis, and I think you've all had an opportunity. I know there were a lot of presentations, but it was all good information, and I'm very proud of all our people for what they do to make it happen.
Thank you. All right, with that, I entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved. Thank you, Mr. White.
Second.
Ms. Gilkey. All in favor? Good night.